I know you're looking at this wondering, where did I get so many of these things? We're going to talk about traces of shadow, how you guys should handle them, how you can get more of them, all that today. I hope you guys enjoy. Make sure you subscribe if you are new and all that fun stuff. Let me know in the comments down below where you personally have gotten your traces of shadows. What's your most reliable method for obtaining these? At the end of the day, regardless of any of those answers you guys may give, the answers are going to largely be the same, but maybe you guys have better luck or more of a consistent stream of these things in certain spots versus others. All right, so traces of shadow. The first thing I want to tell you as a tip, do not just willy-nilly throw those away. They're actually really, really tough to come by, as you're going to see in a minute. And they're also needed for these shadows upgrades. And yeah, they're very, very important. My next thing to tell you is the reason they're partly important is because you almost never can get a good drop of those things. You're always going to pretty much get a couple, a handful of them, like 5 or something like that. You're not really going to ever get a huge drop of them outside of when you do a full exchange in Battlefield of Time. Battlefield of Time is another side piece of content you may or may not be playing, but I recommend that you do because this is where you're going to get a lot of resources like rune fragments. You need all of this stuff. So all these other game modes, some people don't play them too much, and I understand why, I guess, kind of. But just make sure you're playing all the game modes, especially these ones that are up for several days, right, to get the right scores. So this one is really important for one reason in particular, because this is where you're going to get your largest deposit of traces of shadow. And how this works is you can do 10 exchanges of 10 traces of shadow amounting to 100 total, 10 times 10. Math, baby! I'm a mathematician! But the problem with that, though, is that it does cost 2,000 medals. And so unless they made this easier to obtain, which I don't think that they have, I could be mistaken, it's pretty hard to get there. So I wouldn't really say this is the most consistent thing. You're probably going to get 20 or 30 at a time, like things like that. But hey, that's still really, really good, especially when it comes to just unlocking a shadow, because shadows cost, I believe, 100 to unlock. And so that's my next tip. When it comes to the shadows, you may or may not just, maybe you're just like, you know, a collection, you're working on a collection, things like that. And maybe you're going to work on your favorite character regardless of how good they are. Like, there's a lot of different reasons a lot of people handle their own games differently. So I can't really talk much about that. And I definitely don't want to have you impacting your life in a negative way as they're bringing up here in this little strip here, if you saw it. Anyway, you don't need all these shadows, man. General rule of thumb is that Blades and Egress are the best 2 shadows in my opinion. And the reason why is because of the offensive bonuses. Blades mainly for Sung Jinu content, but honestly, I'm starting to get to the point where I just pretty much use Egress all the time because the crit rate with the crit damage all around the place, even on Sung Jinu, all his skills, his plum sword, and blah, 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 it's like crit, ton of damage. Egress more likely to make you crit, so you just use Egress, right? Also, it's universal, extends to every character, while the other 3 listed here, not talking about Tusk, also have specific things that they're buffing, defense, HP, etc. Only one of these passives is applied, and it's only the one for the leader shadow when you build your team. So these passives are just completely irrelevant, and so after that, you start looking at the other things the shadows can do, and they have interesting utility. Defense decreases. Other ones are going to impact your other minion shadows in different ways. I think Egress does a bleed effect. Really strong there. But at the end of the day, shadows are kind of willy-nilly. They don't really do much. But the point is don't go out of your way unlocking everybody, upgrading everybody, unless you're trying to be a perfectionist. So those 2 are the ones I would recommend, with Tusk being in that same tier. So those are the 3 best shadows in my opinion. I really like Tank and Iron for different reasons. Utility with the stun on Tank. Also, if I wanted to have like a full defense-based team that scales off of defense for their damage, you could use him as the lead, especially if you got him really upgraded. That could work, right? Like, things like that are options, but I really like the other 3 primarily. And again, only one of them really matters at any given time. So maybe you work on one and then use 2 other ones that are better utility. That's totally at your discretion. But at the end of the day, you don't need all 5. And in the future, there are going to be more. So it's even more importance on making sure that you are selective with what you're doing, because not only is it, again, 100 to unlock, it's another couple hundred to upgrade. 450 there. be very selective because they're gonna have character origin. They've already actually said it. I saw the data mine a long time ago. They're gonna have like Cerberus as a shadow. They're gonna have Kaisel, I believe is how you pronounce his name, as a shadow. There's gonna be so many. Obviously, Beru. Eventually, in a couple years, probably Belion. They're gonna have all these guys as shadows. You don't want to go crazy. All right. So outside of that, let's backtrack. Oh, okay. The date changed mid-recording. So this is actually good. This is actually good because it refreshed my gate keys. So we're going to talk about gates next. And gates are really interesting. And the reason why, let me go through this. The reason why gates are really interesting is because gates are one of your most consistent streams for just general resources in the game. Every day when you go through all your gates, you're going to get a fat stack of drops of just random stuff from gates. You can be kind of selective with what you're getting, though, if you are choosing the right gates, right? And so, okay, so many pop-ups, good lord. So let's go over to the gates. As a rule of thumb, by the way, you typically only want to run A and S rank gates because they do drop soul essence. If you were not aware, the other ones do not. Now, I just kind of blitzed through those because I was running low on time. And also, when you're looking at these other special gates, the non-blue ones, they all drop different things, right? So where I typically, this is an S rank red gate on the top difficulty. Let's see what we get here. This should yield a lot. This will probably drop though. This one probably will drop. I typically get like 6. I think I typically get 6. Why am I thinking I get rune fragments? I don't see rune fragments as an option though. So we'll see what I get. Or you can get completely unlucky. or you could get completely unlucky. All right, cool. So anyway, on the topic of gates, they drop on any stage possibly, right? So let's see if I get any more to drop. They can drop on any stage though, so make sure you're completing gates just in general. I got 1 there. That's my favorite thing to see, 1. They can drop anywhere though, so make sure you're completing your gates. But like I was saying, the different gates have a primary focus on dropping different things. These blue gates are also super good for the enhancement materials. We're going to see if I can pull any more before we get out of here and talk about the other most consistent place you're going to get these. However, the gates in Battlefield of Time are different than our last one because unlike the last one, you can always come back to gates, like another 1 drop. You can always come back to gates in Battlefield of Time as a consistent means, even if it is a little bit slower and less consistent, right? You can always come back. All right, so let's see what we can get here. Oh, here's rune fragments. Yeah, typically rune fragments drop there. Do the S rank red gates not drop rune fragments? Yeah, see, I get 7 there. That's typically what I get there. Those red gates are really good for rune fragments. So as you see, again, 2 there. This is the top difficulty, so it's not like I can go any higher, at least at the time of the recording. And so you're seeing some of the variants here. 1 here. So you're seeing the variance with how this works. And so what you should be doing is just basically, like I said, running A's and S's. I typically will extend out and run these ones. I'll sweep that, whatever. I typically would extend out and run those ones. That's pretty much it for me, though. After that, I just keep on refreshing. 1 there. Looking for another red gate. I'll run this C here with the skip points. No red spawning. Looking for a red out of points. We're going to just do this. I have 3 keys left, so don't mind me. It's not going to take very long. I'll just do that, whatever. And if a red spawns, we'll rescan. Like I said, there was a red there apparently, but there wasn't. Hello, red. Oh, maybe that's what it was saying. Red was going to pop in. We'll use these for the sweep. And I got 2. So as you see, you're mainly going to get 1s or 2s, pretty much. That's typically how that's going to go. So outside of that, though, the most consistent place you're going to get these is going to be story. However, story is a little bit tricky because story, and like the other stuff we're going to talk about, is not something you can consistently go to. Well, okay, I keep saying you're going to get them consistently here, but you're not going to be able to get them consistently. What does that mean? So there's no way to replay these stages and get rewards. That's my point. So typically after Chapter 5, every time you run one of these story chapters, every few stages, you're going to probably get 5 traces to drop. So that's how this goes. You're going to get 5 to drop at once. And as you saw, it's really hard to get 5 at once in anywhere, right? And so basically that just amounts to completing story up to what you're able to do, completing hard mode, obviously. I haven't touched reverse, but I'm sure they probably have it there too. I guess I have touched reverse, but you get my point. So that's pretty much what it amounts to, just completing story. But again, since you can't rerun story stages for the rewards, it's just kind of a one-time pass thing. Outside of that, you are going to be able to get them in sporadic fashion in other pieces of content. For example, you're going to sometimes get them in achievement rewards in here somewhere. You're going to, I believe, also be able to get them in some of the challenges. They're in these places. Like, see, there's a couple here for upgrading your shadows. You're going to be able to get them every now and again just in these spots. I haven't even worked on these at all. I'm going to be honest with you. I forgot challenges existed. After a while, I just kind of stopped caring. Personally, I was super focused on them and locked in, but after a while, I kind of just forgot they existed. So now I have something to work towards. Key thing with this, though, is that they're not really retroactive. They don't really, like, some of them are, some of them aren't, as you see. But for the most part, they're not really retroactive. 5 right here. See, stuff like that. So you're going to get them sporadically in some of these spots. Also, if you go to the shop, I don't think it'll be today. But this is a relatively new thing. But they do this thing now where they have a theme of the day. Yeah, it's not today. There is a theme of the day that does have some in there. It's only like a few. But it's still worthwhile if you like the rest of the resources in there. There is one of those, again, for that. And sometimes you're also going to see them available in other locations. I don't believe that they're available in Battlefield of Trials, but you're going to be able to get them in those spots primarily. So that's pretty much it. And so that's what I've done in terms of getting them. Again, just don't throw them away on shadows that you don't care about, don't need, don't use. That's my main thing. Anyways, guys, I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all next time.